Let's visit the home of Charlotte and James. They moved in a few years ago and designed it as a retirement home, but one with very particular features, as you will see. We love this house because it looks like all the others in the neighborhood, is lovely in its own right, and Charlotte and James designed in some very high function features that work today for them, their kids, and their grandkids and friends, and will continue to work for them for years to come. The home looks good and works well, and will really let Charlotte and James thrive in place. We start with Charlotte and I on her front porch. Charlotte begins by describing her home's plan and the differences between hers and her neighbors' homes.
We picked this floor plan because we like the open space, but we also thought it would be easy for us to work with to have a step-free entry. So some of the houses in the neighborhood have the same floor plan, but they have two steps to come in, at least two, some more, depending on their lot.
Yeah. So you have some variation from house to house in the neighborhood. This really blends in nicely, looks like every other house in the neighborhood, which is really important, I think, for universal design outcome. It can't look weird or wacky and have it be successful.
Right.
Yeah. So here we are on the porch. This porch is really at the same level as the first floor, so you can walk right in, and even from the driveway you have a gentle sloping, slightly sloped pathway up to here, a little bit of drainage slope, so that if it rains, the water slides away. Why is that important in a UD house?
That's really important because water can flow in very easily if there's not some kind of grading provided. In addition, we have the roof over the porch so that it protects it from the rain and the snow.
So if you're entering or exiting, you get some weather protection. It keeps a lot of the snow and ice and rain off of the porch, so that even helps keep water away from that front door better. So you have no step coming in here. You have a nice, really very flat threshold coming in, so it really reduces the opportunities for tripping. If you have a piece of equipment, you can roll over that threshold very easily.
Right.
And it's a good wide front door. It's at least, I think it's 36 inches wide.
36 inches, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a really good example of what you can do in a universally designed home, both from how it looks from the street and all the way up inside the house. So Charlotte, you come in your front door of your house, you've got this wonderful great room that greets you, and it's in kind of an open plan that flows into the dining room and the kitchen. Why did you make that choice among the other choices you had for floor plans?
When we started thinking of building a house, we wanted just to have one big open space. We like to entertain, and it gives us a little bit more flexibility. Plus, it gave us more living space than some of the other floor plans in this development.
You don't have narrow hallways or narrow doorways to squeeze through?
No, we don't have real small bedrooms. We have no dining room, no formal living room. It's just all right together, but it works very well for our family.
And with this kind of a plan, you can also move your furniture around if you need to change locations from place to place?
Right, and I love to move furniture. So it was a good choice to have something that we could change around. We did have electric plugs put in the floor so that we can plug lamps in different places in the room. And that's been a really useful feature because it gave us the flexibility that we really wanted.
Good, so changing over time is important for universal design, so we
Right.
like that. You have some flooring down here. A lot of people make choices of nice thick carpeting with thick padding underneath. You made the choice of having some hard, nice looking hard flooring. Why did you do that?
Right. We just like the look of having kind of the rustic look of having hardwood floor. Plus we liked the versatility of it, the fact that if we did have to use a wheelchair in the house or a walker, it would be easy for us to move around on. So we put down some area rugs just to kind of warm this space up, and we can move those if we need to. Or just leave them. We try not to get anything with a thick nap or a heavy pad underneath.
The carpeting can be a problem even if you're ambulatory and walking around. Sometimes if it's thick and heavy, there's a lot of resistance to rolling if you have that, and walkers I'm sure would be an issue too. So you could keep it completely bare if you wanted to, or as you've done here, you could add an area carpet here or there, which is easily removable if you needed to.
Right, and we have those little pads underneath that keep it from moving. So I think that's a good safety feature because it doesn't slide around on the hardwood.
That's an important point to remember. Charlotte, we're here in your kitchen, and there's a lot to talk about because you have a lot of good features in your kitchen. Let's start with your gas range, which has some nice front controls. Now, all gas ranges have front controls, but why are these good on either a gas or electric range?
Well, it's a safety factor because when you have the controls at the front, you don't have to reach across the burners to be able to turn them on or off when you're on the back of the stove.
So you don't have to reach over something hot.
Something hot.
Be adjusting something.
Right,
like
you
that.
did-
Also, they're a little closer, so you can maybe see the dials a little bit better than
Right.
if they were in the back.
Right. It would be good if they were on an angle because then you could see them a little better.
Sure.
But these do have some contrast where the lettering is white again
Notice
on the
it's-
black burner.
yeah,
So
it's white on black, which is really
yeah,
good.
that helps.
So whether it's a gas range or whether it's an electric range, having front controls is really good for seeing the controls and good
Right.
for avoiding having to reach over hot stoves and hot
Right.
items on the stove.
Right.
Okay. Another thing that's small, but it makes a difference, is a very simple and elegant single lever control on your sink faucet, which means that you don't have to monkey around with two different controls.
Right.
And it's very kind of easy to grab.
Right. And it mixes the water so you only have to use one handle.
A lot
To
better
turn the
than
water
having
on,
round
having
slippery
to-
controls
right.
that you might have soapy hands or something. That's just
Right.
something you can grab regardless.
Right.
Okay, we like that a lot. The next thing we can mention is the fact you've got a refrigerator with a couple of nice features. You've got side-by-side doors in the refrigerator part.
Right.
Which means you can locate things low or high, wherever you want them to, wherever's convenient. And they have, obviously, like most of them, shelves in the door itself.
Right.
And then you've also got this really nice extended pull-out freezer at the bottom.
Right.
Talk about that.
That has the same kind of handles on it that you can just grab hold of and pull open very easily.
And it brings the whole
And it
contents of that right out to
Brings
you.
everything right out for the freezer. There's 3 shelves in there
Mm-hmm.
and an ice maker. So it's very easy to get things out
Mm-hmm.
of there and a good light.
Terrific, yes, so you can see things more easily and reach them more easily.
Right.
So bending and reaching is one of the key things we look for as convenience in storage and work surfaces. And you've got a great storage item in here too. You have base cabinets that have pull-out
Shelves.
thank you very much, that also bring things out so you can see them.
Right.
And you're not bending over so far, because we know back trouble is one of those things that a lot of people are affected by.
Exactly.
Which brings us to the counters. You have 2 height counters
Two
right
heights.
in here, which we like a lot. What's nice about these for you?
These are a good height for me to work at because of my height. If we needed to make some changes, we could do that eventually if we had a reason to do that.
Right.
But for now, this is pretty comfortable for James and I. Plus, we like having the second shelf where we can stand and work on things, or people can sit at the bar and talk to us while we're cooking.
James is pretty tall. That
He's
might even
pretty
be a
tall.
better counter type for him to work with something.
He does do things up there.
Yeah, terrific. So you have tall people, more average sized people as well. Now I know that it's difficult in a lot of kitchens, even if they're universally designed, to completely convert from, works well for a standing person
Right.
versus works well for a seated person. But you've even kind of built in some advanced thinking about how that might be made easier if you
Right.
needed to pull out a cabinet and lower the counter or something.
Right.
what are you doing?
We extended the hardwood floor under the cabinets so that should we have to make changes, the flooring would be in place.
Yeah.
And it should be easier to do it, and less expensive.
Yeah, well, and if you're ever in here, in that case, and using a piece of equipment, maybe a walker, maybe even a wheelchair, you got pretty good flow through
Right.
here and pretty adequate spaces, 5 feet or more, about 3 feet coming through there. So it's not that cramped, and so you
Right.
can really kind of work around if you needed to. So Charlotte, in most houses I go into, there's a very nice microwave that's almost always located right over the stove in a place
Right.
that's hard to reach for so many people. Tell us what you did here.
We decided to move the microwave over here and have this little cabinet built special for it so that we can reach it easily. We've got a little shelf here that sometimes comes in handy. I've got a countertop right here where I can just set things down, and it's not quite as tall as it would be if I had the microwave
Right.
over the stove. And should we need to, we can take this microwave out and put it on the counter and use this for storage.
Another thing that's really important in homes is lighting, particularly in kitchens, particularly on counters. What have you done to help solve that problem?
We had under-counter lighting put in, and
here.
some of it, we have it on a dimmer switch. We found that with the kind of electric bulbs we have in there right now, the dimmer switch doesn't work. So that's something to watch out for.
So often when I talk about universal housing to people, they immediately say to me something like, well, I have a one-story house, or aren't all UD houses one story? And I have to explain to them that you really don't have to have a single-story house, whether it's slab on grade or even a raised ranch or something like that. You can have two stories as long as the key function areas are on the accessible level of the house, which is what you have. You've got your kitchen and your bathroom and your laundry, all on the level that you need them, and your master bedroom. So in your house, you do have a second floor. And why is that okay? Why does that work out for you when most people think that's not a good idea?
Well, it works out really well when we have company because we use it as a guest room. My husband's office is up there. And it's stuff that we can move around again if we need to use in other parts of the house, particularly his office.
Right. It's not essential.
It's not.
You could do without it if you had to, or move things out.
So we could use it if we had to have a caregiver.
Sure,
live
right.
with us. It would be a great place because there is a bathroom up there.
Right.
And that's one reason why when people come to visit, they like to stay because they're very contained in one space, and the room's quite big.
Yeah, but people have to realize you can have rooms off grade, off of the main level, as long as they're not essential to the function of the people who live there.
Right.
And you've done some great things with the stairs. I mean, not many houses have handrails on both sides of the stairs. How come you did that?
We just wanted to have it so that should one side of our body be weaker than the other, we could still have something to hold on to going up and down. So when I was recovering from my knee surgery, it was really important for me to have handrails on both sides because I did go up there often.
So were you actually using both handrails at the same time then?
Right, right.
So whether it's a left or right-handed issue, or strong or weak side, whether it's going up and having something when you're coming down, or using both hands, having the dual handrail really works well.
It worked really well.
So Charlotte, now we're in your nice bedroom, and there's a couple of things to talk about in here. First is windows. We love windows. We like natural lighting. We don't like glare.
Right.
It's one of the challenges with windows. If you have a lot of windows, you can have glare coming in. It's bad for eyes of all ages, particularly older eyes like mine anyway.
Yeah.
So having window coverings makes a big difference in preventing glare when you don't want it, when the sun's in the wrong position in the sky. You have some nice window coverings here that not only works well to keep the light from coming in, but it's also easy to adjust.
Right. We really like these because you can adjust them from two directions. You can take them all the way to the top. You can raise them up from the bottom. You can do a lot of different things with them. They're two sets of controls. And the good thing about these controls too is that they're low, so that if we were in a wheelchair, or if we had a short person in the house, or somebody, you can just pull it
from down there.
From down here and take it up as high as you want.
In the great room, we talked about how you made the choice for some firm flooring that you could have area carpets on. Here you've got some carpeting. Tell us about that choice.
Well, we chose a carpet in here that doesn't have a real deep pile as well. It's very easy to take care of, and it gives us the warmth to the space that we need. But should we decide we wanted to go with a hard surface later, we could take this out and change it. Easy to do.
It's a good thing about flooring choices. You can add or take away if you need to without, redoing your entire house.
Exactly.
Charlotte, you have 2 bathrooms on the first floor in your house, and most people's bathrooms, most places we go to in most homes, have a tub with a shower combination. People have to clamber in and out of getting in and out to take a bath or take a shower regardless of what they need to be doing, and it can be a problem at some points in people's lives. It can be slippery, it can be dangerous if there aren't any handholds. You've done something interesting in your bathroom here. You've got one of your bathrooms on the other side of the house has a regular tub.
Right.
And you've actually put some handholds in there, I know.
Right.
In this bathroom, you chose to do something different. Tell us about what you did here and why.
We decided we wanted to have a non-step entry into the shower so that we wouldn't have any obstruction getting in and out. So our builder did a very good job of grading the floor so that it drains very well. We have very little problems. Sometimes we have a little bit of splash, but not too much. And that's one of the reasons for having the glass wall here, a glass panel, is to keep the spray from going out. I had my knee replaced a few years ago, and so I put a shower chair in here, and it worked very well. I had plenty of room to move, and I was able to use my grab bars that we had put in, and I took a shower independently my first day home from the hospital. So you can't get any better than that.
Exactly. So, I mentioned showers like this, and sometimes we call them curbless showers.
Right.
We like homes to have maybe one of them. You don't have to have them everywhere, but it makes a difference if you can have one of them in your house, because all your key function areas in this floor
Right.
are on the same floor. Having a shower and a tub option is fine. But we talk about curbless showers, and often people say, "Oh, there's only a small curb. It's only a 1-inch curb."
No.
We're really talking about having no curb at all, because there's no real need to have any
Right.
curb, right?
Right. If it's constructed properly, you don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
One of the other things about this glass panel is that it can be removed. And so if we needed to get a wheelchair in there that needed more space, then would come through this opening, which is 36 inches wide.
yeah.
So it should work. But if somebody needed to bring a wheelchair in, we could take that glass panel out and have it completely open, and then maybe just use the shower curtain across there to catch some of the splash.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a good sized shower that's about 42 inches wide and about, what, 5 or 6 feet long?
Right. I think it's a 6
It's pretty good size. You can actually, as you can say, you get your shower chair in there, and you get probably less splashing with that than you would otherwise, but having the glass panel really makes a difference with that. So you've got this nice tile floor that comes right up to your tile in the actual shower area itself. Looks good. There's just a single joint there. There's no height variation, and it's just gently sloped, very gently sloped
gently.
from the edge right down to the drain in the middle. So it looks
Right.
good.
Yeah, I want to also mention the handheld shower.
Yeah.
That works extremely well right now because it's adjustable height. My husband is taller than me, and so he raises it up, and I always have to lower it down when I get in. But it's very handy. And then when I was sitting in the shower chair, I could just take it off and hold it in my hand and use it as I needed.
Exactly. So, in many cases, we don't recommend to people when they first build a curbless shower, unless they absolutely need to. We say, well, you don't have to put a grab bar in now if you don't want to. A lot of people
Right.
find grab bars off-putting, and that's fine. You chose to customize your curbless shower with grab bars. When did those go in, and why did you have those put in?
They went in after I had my knee replaced,
Which was a couple of years
which
ago.
was 3 years ago.
Okay.
And yes, and I got the kind that have grippers on the back so that you can really get good traction if your hands are really wet when you grab hold of them. We had, when the house was built, we had reinforcements put in the walls so that if we chose to add grab bars, we could do that at a later date.
So you don't have to have grab bars initially. Put the backing in the wall so you can add them. And you actually have pretty good looking grab bars. And sure enough, unfortunately, you needed to have them, but you had the
Right.
blocking already in there so you could
Right.
put them in wherever you wanted to.
Right.
Charlotte, we've looked at and talked about some really big items in your house. We talked about the open plan in your living and dining and kitchen area, which is really good. We talked about the great curbless shower you've got. There's a bunch of subtle things I don't think people might notice as easily, and I want you to talk about your light switches, what you did with them, why the outlet height is different, and talk about a double switching of lights and why that makes a difference.
Okay. We chose to put in paddle switches like this one because they're very easy to use. If you have limited mobility in your hands, you can hit them.
So with your fist, not having to pinch with your fingers like regular switches.
You can do your elbow if you have your hands full.
Right, right.
It works. And they're at a lower height than
Yeah.
standard switches.
A lot of standard switches, maybe 54 inches or something.
Right. And these are
About 46, we think.
46,
Yeah, about 46 inches high.
46. And we have these throughout the house.
They're kind of elegant looking.
Yeah.
They look good, and people might not notice much more than that unless they knew they were a little bit lowered.
Right.
And they might not appreciate all those nice features unless they needed to, or they had them in
It
the
comes
house.
in very handy.
Yeah.
So then we also had our electric plugs raised so that we don't have to bend all the way down to the floor to plug
Yeah.
something in.
Yeah.
And
So rather than 12 inches high, they may be about 16.
about 16.
That makes a difference.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. And they're all grounded, so we can use different appliances with all of them.
Okay, wonderful.